All right, everybody, welcome to our weekly team call. Somehow I just got bounced off the screen there. That's no good. Hold on, let me fix this thing. There we go. All right, welcome to the team call for this week. Today we're going to be talking about two different things. One is a leadership conference that Jimmy and Hayes Nelson and I are organizing. The other is some marketing stuff related to the 21-Day Fix Extreme coming out February 2nd. So first, really quickly, on the leadership event. So if you have been paying attention, you have probably noticed that there are a lot of really, really successful women in our company. And I think that is fantastic. We've always encouraged that, and I think it's a natural outcrop of a network marketing company. They're typically dominated by women, at least numbers-wise. However, there are a lot of guys who are involved in this company, and we want to give a forum to those guys to be able to tell their stories, talk about the success they've had, and be able to communicate the business in a different way, okay, than I think women can do. Men and women have very different priorities. We're motivated by very different things. We're also, we also act and behave in different ways. And so I think it's important that men have an opportunity to sort of tell their story and how they've built this business and the things that they've done. So what Jimmy and I did is we organized an event in Dallas, Texas, March 28th. If you go to Training Camp Dallas, trainingcampdallas.com, you can register for the event. Tickets right now are $50. Those are the first 200 tickets that we're releasing. They come with priority seating, and they also are going to be at a discounted price. And we may even do something a little cool for those people that register early, depending on overall registration. So there's that. There's your incentive. We're going to be announcing speakers over the course of the next probably 2 weeks. You know, we're going to kind of sprinkle them out as they come. I would really personally appreciate it if you would share this content. Okay, just get the word out there. When we announce, either you see something from me or something from Jimmy announcing a new speaker, share it. Okay, in particular, if you've got a team of people or you have specific guys that you think might be really well tailored for this event, I would really like you to tag them in it and share it. We can talk more about what that looks like, and we'll talk more about the event specifically and all the individual marketing we do. We're gonna have a lot of different guys talking though. It's not gonna be just me and Jimmy and the Dave and Jimmy show. In fact, we're gonna be involved fairly little because I want to give the stage to some of these other guys who have done some truly amazing things. We've got a number of Millionaire Club members, multiple top 10 coaches, elite coaches, CAB members, pretty much the most influential guys in the network, or many of the most influential guys in the network for this first event, and we'll be doing future events where we get them involved. So March 28th, Dallas, Texas. I'd love to see you there. If you have questions about that, message me. More than happy to answer. Okay. Let's talk about 21-Day Fix Extreme, which is what we're really here to talk about tonight. We have, not quite 2 weeks before the 21-Day Fix Extreme launches, which is awesome and super exciting. And we've been building up in this series for a couple of months now. Let me back up and just tell you that everything that's on this board is in the Fit Club Network Coaches group. Pinned to the top, there's a comment where I posted a picture of this. If you can't really see it really well, don't stress. It's more for me than it is for you. I have my notes here so that I can see what I'm doing. In fact, I'm going to just sort of like tilt this up so you can see my head, because we're just going to talk about this top part right now anyway. All right, so the two other calls that you might want to go listen to are December 9th and December 30th. On December 9th and December 30th, I talked about the pre-launch. So we're using as the framework for this with my own personal tweaks, Jeff Walker's book, Launch. That's the book right there. A couple of you guys have gone out and grabbed this book. It's reading it back to front, or front to back rather, is not super fascinating. I'm not going to lie. This is not, some novel that's going to, swirl you into some big story. It's just really kick-ass marketing information. And that's what I'm here to communicate to you and try to give you some little pieces of that. So in the pre-launch, what we've been doing leading up to now is basically playing with this whole thing, right? The cool thing about if you can do a pre-launch, and tonight we're going to talk about the pre-launch, if you can do this, you don't ever come across as salesy because I don't have anything to sell you. right? I don't have anything to sell you right now. I cannot sell this product to you right now. What I can do is I can play with you a little bit. What I can do is I can reach some of these objectives, which I'll talk about in a minute. What I can do is establish a rapport with you. All of those things I can do so that on the day that the cart opens up, you no longer have a decision to make. You've already made your decision. In fact, in an ideal world for me, you can't wait for that cart to open up so that you can get your 21-day fix extreme and take advantage of some of the stuff that we're going to be offering. Okay, so let's talk about what this pre-launch is. So first of all, timing-wise, the pre-launch, we wanted like 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. So if you're just dialing into this call and you're wondering you've kind of missed the boat a little bit on doing a pre-launch. That doesn't mean you can't do this, though. It doesn't mean you can't do a pre-launch for this program. It doesn't mean you can't accomplish a ton of stuff with some pre-marketing. And it's a little more complicated, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, because the more complicated things are, the fewer people do them, which creates a big opportunity for you. But it's a little more complicated than just sharing whatever the latest thing on Autumn's page was, or whatever graphic the Beachbody just put out via their 21-day fix page. It's just a little more complicated than that, okay? And so I want you to not go for the low-hanging fruit and do the easy thing. What instead I want you to do is what I'm telling you to do. Okay, so let's talk about it. Here are sort of your objectives for the pre-launch, and then I'll get down into here kind of the nuts and bolts of what we're going to do, all right? The first one is to let your list know that the 21-day fix extreme is coming, okay? Again, this is just letting you know, all right? So in the pre-launch, I talked very little about the 21-day fix extreme. I'll kind of review and tell you what I did so you can get an idea of kind of what my pre-launch looks like, and then I'll talk about my pre-launch. So what I did in the pre-launch was I sort of set up this scenario where I was very skeptical about the 21-day fix. I really wasn't sure it was going to work. I thought it was kind of girly. I created this disease called container phobia, which had me basically afraid of using these containers and being controlled by them. And all the stuff I filmed leading up to it, anytime I was talking about the 21-day fix, I was mixing in these concepts. Well, what was cool about it, and sort of an unanticipated thing that happened, was a lot of coaches started picking up on my marketing and were trying to talk me into the 21-day fix. Even actually some of our customers who have been like long customers and they've done other programs with us and they know me really well. They're like, dude, don't be such a ninny. Like, get out there, do the 21-day fix. It's awesome. So they've been trying to talk me into doing the 21-day fix. So that's about the best case scenario I could have possibly imagined, is my customers and other coaches trying to talk me into doing this program. It just set everything up really well. Totally not what I intended, but sometimes when you come up with good marketing, cool things happen. And that's kind of what has happened as a result of the way I've treated this pre-launch and setting this whole thing up. I didn't talk a lot about the 21-day fix extreme. I stayed pretty focused on the 21-day fix. Every now and then I would maybe mention that I thought the workouts were a little easy or something like that. And for those of you who love the 21-day fix, no, I don't think those workouts are easy. But I would say things like that in order to create this kind of like, well, what would be harder, sort of a question mark, right? And then once I got the Elite Sneak Peek DVD of the 21-day fix extreme, I've done it like 4 times now and have been filming more video, doing more of this than a pre-launch, doing more of like this pre-launch thing of like, hey, I'm gonna let you know this is coming because I happen to have one of the preview discs and I've been doing a little bit of this workout. There's lots of other content you could use to distribute that message, but this is a major goal, is to let them know that this product is coming out. The second one is create some curiosity. You know, there's lots of different ways you can create curiosity. We'll kind of get into that maybe a little bit down here, but think about that. You want people asking you questions about it. Okay, so a lot of times I'll post something, and this works via email, it also works via social media, it probably also works via the one-on-one people you meet if you're able to kind of play out this little play that I'm going to give you. But creating curiosity is great because people ask questions. That's what has happened with Extreme, is that when I post stuff about Extreme, I'll give people a little bit of information in the video and then say, you guys have any questions? And then people will often message me privately or post questions. For some reason, I've been getting way more private messages about that normal. I don't know why, but they just don't quit posting comments. Instead, they're sending me a message. But either way works for me. They're curious. They're curious about what's the difference. Will I be allowed to have alcohol, for example, with a 21-day fix extreme? Is it like the is it like the reset where I'm going to have to give up coffee or something like that? So, people are asking questions, right? So that's the first thing. Let them know, create some curiosity, engage your list. This is just a big part of leading up to February 2nd. What you don't want to do is on February 2nd, try to wake up a list, whether it's a list you've got via email or a list that you've got written down on a piece of paper somewhere. Don't wake them up on February 2nd and go, bye, bye, bye. Because they're going to go, no, no, no. All right? You need to engage them now, and this is the time to really do it. Next major objective, understand problems. Here's what I mean by problems. I'm not talking about objections. We'll get to that. I'm talking about their problems. So if you think about sales, right? So having a good conversation with Lisa Union about sales today. And, good sales is really about solving people's problems, right? You cannot solve their problems until you understand what their problems are. You can assume what their problems are, but we're often incorrect when we do that. So what you really need to do is you need to understand what their problems are so that you can start to present the solution. Okay, now it's not, again, we don't have anything to sell them, so this is the best way to present the solution because you're not coming off the sales because there's nothing to buy. Okay, but if you don't understand their problems, it's going to be really hard to present solutions. Next thing, stand out from the crowd. And then I have this note about branding because I want to take a few minutes and talk about branding. This is one of the most important things you can do with a pre-launch is to distinguish yourself from the rest of the crowd. So again, the easy thing to do is just share whatever content everybody else is sharing. And what are you doing? You're just saying, I'm like everybody else. So when your customers go, why should I pick you? You haven't distinguished yourself. You haven't taken this opportunity to stand out and say, here's how I'm unique. Whether it's something extra you offer, some people are offering, some people will offer gift certificates, all kinds of nonsense. I don't think you need to do that. It's more about your personal brand and who you are, Like Carrie Wilson's on the phone here. Carrie Wilson's brand is sort of that fit after 40. Hey, that's how you stand out from some 25-year-old who may be on the call too, who's doing this because they just had a baby. That's how you distinguish yourself. That's your brand, being athletic or whatever it is, however this fits into your life or whatever else you bring to the table, whether that's a lot of experience or some unique knowledge or whatever it is, that's what you got to figure out, and you've got to brand yourself. This little piece of the puzzle here is so important. So we go back to the customer avatar. I'm going to write it down. Customer avatar. That's an exercise that many of you have done through our Coach Basics program that helps you figure out who your ideal customer is. Most people do that exercise. They recognize a lot of themselves in their customer. It's either somebody that they used to be or somebody that they are now, very almost always. That's what you create your brand around. You create your brand around the customers that you want to attract, all right? So this is a huge opportunity as part of this pre-launch, just to stand out and be different so that the same person who's watching 2 or 3 coaches at once, they all put up the same thing, that they haven't distinguished themselves. But when I say, hey, I'm actually going to do a group for just dudes, whoa, all of a sudden, I'm a little different than anybody who's willing to take anybody in their group. And I'll talk a little bit about some of those motivations later as well. Finding objections. We talked about this a lot in the pre-launch. This is something you should really spend a lot of time just asking questions. What are your concerns? I'm excited about the 21-day fix. Are you? What are your concerns? Do you have questions about it? Find out. People will tell you now because, again, you're not asking them to buy something. If you come to them in February 2nd, they're just going to go, oh, I can't afford it right now. Thanks. No thanks. Bye. If you come to them right now without anything to sell, they'll tell you what their objections are. And then you can work on ways to get past those objections or answer them ahead of time so that on February 2nd, when the card opens up, boom, they've already made their decision, okay? So The next big objective here is to create some fun and excitement. This is like really where I think my pre-launch has done a pretty good job. Is it's created a little bit of fun and a little bit of playing around this whole container phobia thing. I posted a video where I said today I tried to do the 21-day fix and I failed miserably. What I'm kind of setting up there is a scenario where Monica teaches me how to do it. It's just creating a little bit of fun. I think it's pretty obvious that it's pretty tongue-in-cheek and that I'm just kind of having fun with this whole thing and the containers and being silly with it. And I think that's good. That gets people interested. More people are going to watch the videos. More people are going to take action. More people are going to want to engage with the community we create, which I think is maybe like one of the most awesome things you can really do with a pre-launch. If you can't see that, it says co-create community. Let me tell you what I mean by co-creation, okay? Co-creation means you got a couple different options when you create something like a challenge group or a support and accountability group if you don't do specific challenge groups. The coolest way you can do it is by having people participate in the creation of that. By that, I mean, it's asking questions like I'm kind of doing this now with, would you be interested in being in a group, an accountability group with just guys? Would that interest you? I got like such an overwhelming response to that, I had to dial it back. Because I was co-creating, I didn't realize how big that potential community was. It's one of the reasons we decided to do men's leadership, actually, was I did that a couple of months ago. But co-creating this community is going to allow me to develop this community with some of the other guys who get involved with me. Some will be coaches, probably most of them will be my customers. But I'm going to allow these guys to have some input. What do you want to see here? What are the acceptable norms to our community? And I talked about that on the other call too, about establishing communities and establishing norms, and now being the time to do it. That's also another way to stand out, right? To distinguish yourself from other people. If what distinguishes me is my kick-ass community, I'm really stoked about that, because that's something that will really differentiate me from a lot of the other people who are going to be going through the motions and just, again, share here, there, share there, and then when the card opens up, hope for some sales. I'm not telling you that I do this with every program. I didn't do it with Insanity Max 30. I was so busy worried about Elite and making both of Monica and I make Elite. I did not have time for that launch. If it had been a super important product to me, I would have. The truth is 21-day fix for Monica is a huge, huge program. So I'm going along with it and seeing what buzz I can create as well, because she's already got a lot of people lined up for the challenge group we're going to do. So let me drop this down a little bit and I'll just cut my head off, but you'll be able to see my notes. And let's talk a little bit about our pre-launch sequence. What are we doing here? I'm just going to check out the time real quick. I'm good. Pre-launch sequence. So the way to think of this is as a 3-act play. All right. There's a 3-act play that we want to show people. And here's what it looks like. It looks like why, what, and how. Okay, that's the way you should think of it. People are going to start here. People who are not experienced marketers and who haven't done any of this other stuff, they're going to start with how. They're going to start with buy the 21-day fix. They'll fix all your problems. You don't even know what their problem is. Maybe you do. That person doesn't know what the problem is. They're just putting a link on their Facebook page. If you think that's effective marketing, it's just not. It's just not. I don't know how many people I've seen do that and then come to me and go, this business doesn't work. Not true. It doesn't work if you do it with that. If you lead with how, because that's about you making a commission. When we lead with why, we're getting up here into understanding what their problems are and presenting solutions to them. So what does it look like? The Act 1 is the opportunity for change and or transformation. That's what all that text on there says. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the opportunity for change or transformation. What do you want to be doing during this time? Kind of 2 key things, or I guess maybe 3 things, but these 2 kind of fall into the same avenue here, which is position and teach. That's the first thing. If you've watched the other calls, I talked about one of the key triggers, mental triggers that you need to establish with people is authority. In other words, that you're speaking from a position of authority. You know what you're talking about. Maybe that's because you've done the 21-day fix before. Maybe it's because you've done other Beachbody programs. Maybe it's because you have some other unique experience, like a personal trainer certification or whatever gives you some authority to position yourself as someone they should listen to about this stuff. That's really important, okay? Teaching people, also very important. We are going to need to teach people about these containers, okay? I know firsthand, because I tried to do, the 21-day fix looked really simple to me, okay? And then I started doing it, and I couldn't find our manuals, and I just went and kind of Googled some stuff and had a couple of other people kind of teach me how to do it, and I screwed it up. People correcting me as I was posting pictures like, that's not how you do it. Because no one taught me. So that's why we were going to set up this thing where Monica teaches me to fix. Okay, because I just was making dumb mistakes because I was just Googling it on my phone, what goes in the yellow container or whatever it was. So that, I think, is a big piece of that. Again, you don't want to get too into how, okay? So when I say teach, I'm not necessarily talking about the specifics. There's an opportunity for that. It would be more like, here's what you have to learn from me. So I've got a thing, I'll be starting a thing, here's what you can learn from me. Here's what I can teach you. Maybe that's a better way to kind of put that. And again, discovering these objections, another super important part of this first act of the play. If you can get in here, dig in here, and ask people what their concerns are and address some of those things, okay? And we'll do that in later things, in later acts of the play, but if we can discover what people's objections are and address them before the cart ever opens, that's just so easy. That's just so easy. If you're the type of person who keeps getting these, I can't afford it, or whatever those objections are, you better learn how to handle them now. Handle them. Here's, I'll deal with the crushing objections in a minute. Act 2 is what? Okay, so the other thing and why, and I don't know, I didn't put this here, but it should say here, story transformation. It should say that up here as well. It should say it in both places. This is the place where you present the opportunity. That's the big deal about Act 1 of this play, is you need to present something that shows people, here's your chance. So you need to think about who your brand is, who your customer is, and what they want. If they want weight loss, you need to tell some weight loss stories. If they're like my people and they want sports performance, those are the kind of stories I'm going to be telling, okay? It's just going to kind of depend on you and your brand and what the story is that you want to tell, but the more you can start telling stories here and connecting people with emotional reasons for doing this program, the more you're going to be able to get over their objections. Because they're going to say, gosh, you know what? Eventually they start to say, I can't afford not to do this. And that's where you want to get people before February 2nd. Everybody waits until the product is available to sell it. You can do this now. And I'm going to show you the timing of it at the end. All right, so that's Act 1, why. Act 2 is what? Again, we are talking about transformations. It's about showing people, the opportunity to change your life, and that's what you want to focus on in the first one, is here. And this, if you've got the most dramatic transformation you've got, or that you can find from Beachbody, because Beachbody's got a ton of them, and you have the ability to use all those. The most dramatic transformation goes here. The big one, that's the huge opportunity that is going to show people, hey, if this person can do it, you can do it, and here's what's available to you. The second act is another story, okay? Another story, but it doesn't have to be such a life changer. It's almost better if that one is more of a realistic, maybe is the way to put it up. I don't know how to say that. This is the big thing, though, with Act 2, is over here. And that's crushing objections, okay? Let me tell you what my messages are going to sound like on that. A lot of guys think these workouts are easy. Wrong. I'm going to make it look stupid to have those beliefs. A lot of guys think these containers are totally dumb. Here's why that's wrong. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the objections that I've discovered, that I know about my people through this process and the pre-launch, and I'm just giving them back to people going, this is the dumb thing, not quite that bluntly, although I can be a little bit more blunt with my audience. This is the dumb thing that people believe, and here's why that's super wrong. That's going to echo with them when we get to February. Some of them is going to echo with them on February 2nd. And they're going to go, wow, you know what? Here's my resistance to that. My resistance to that is that the containers are colored. That's lame. Like, I should go get this thing. I should go fix my problem with this thing. I have a problem. This can fix it. I've seen what that opportunity is. My objections have, at least on some level, been taken away from me, whether it's cost or whatever. I'll probably, in this piece too, I'll probably talk about cost and talk about Shakeology and what a value Shakeology is when you combine it with a 21-day fix and the whole cost structure and all that stuff. This is where I'll deal with all that stuff. Not up here on February 2nd. I got to do that on the front end. Now, some people aren't going to hear this, so I'll have to do it over again. But the more people that I can get these objections over with, the better, so that they're ready to go. That's really what this is about. It's about teeing this whole thing up for yourself. Okay, Act 3 is the ownership experience. Again, it's kind of just a development of Act 2 centered around, what it's going to be like for them in the future. So that's kind of Act 3 is, I call it build their future. Okay, so what this will look like for us, our group is going to start on the 17th, which is my birthday. And I am going to build a future for them that if you start with us on the 17th of February after President's Day, by the 10th of March, you're going to be in amazing shape. Here's what it's going to look like. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what you're going to do. We're going to do it together. That sort of a thing. And then building some scarcity and some urgency, okay? I would love to have a tighter date than the 17th, but the truth is with President's Day, it's just, it makes sense to have it after President's Day, I think. And Monica and I had a big, long discussion about that. So the urgency thing, they don't have a lot of time to mess around, but they've got a little more than I would like. I would not, discourage you necessarily from starting a group on like the 10th. That's the day we were looking at. It was like, okay, let's give them a week. And what happens? Well, boom, they're going to order because they know, I got to order. Like, I'm going to get in that group. I got to order. So I'll have to come back around, as we get to a week out of the 17th, like more like on the 10th, and come back with some more scarcity stuff. Like, if you don't order now, it's over. That's it. You're not going to be able to get into the group. You've got to have it, in your hand, and or at least, in the mail to you, something like that. And trying to create some scarcity. I think this is one where it's hard for us, and this is where a lot of coaches lose the battle big time, is they don't take the time to create any scarcity around their services. And the reason is really simple. We're so, I don't want to use the term desperate, but desperate for customers that will take anybody. Well, come, please, book a thing, yeah. That doesn't work. You need to have limited time only, limited number of spots available. You need to message me to qualify yourself to get into the group. Those sorts of things. That marketing is hard to do. It's hard to do because in your mind, you're excluding people. What happens is you motivate more people. You've got to take advantage of that in your marketing. You've got to use scarcity to your advantage. Let me talk a little bit about timing, and then we'll go over this whole thing. I'll just drop this down and then pop it back up. So you can see there's kind of two different timelines that he recommends in the book. I think you could play with these things a lot, but I'll just kind of walk you through it. The first one is that Act 1 on day 1, 3 days, or every other day, basically, right? So 1, 3, 5, 7, 7 being February 2nd, the day that the cart opens up. The next one is 1, 5, 8, and 10 day. So the 10th day being the date the cart opens up. So I think you can work with either of those. If we have, again, I think 13 days. So if you're going to do a 10 day, that's going to give you like 3 days to get your content going. That's what I'm going to do because I'm going to be traveling. And so I'm going to kind of, tomorrow I'm going to spend a bunch of time just automating all this stuff as far as posts on Facebook and, emails to my list and all that different stuff so that it comes out more on like a 10-day timeline, which I think is going to be, just a better timeline for me. I think the 10 days better, but the 7-day totally works. And if you want to do the 7-day and have it go, 1, 3, 5, 7, I think that's all fine. If you're going to use email, that's really easy. Use Aweber, whatever your email service is, and just set it up now. And let it roll out on whatever time schedule you want it to roll out. That's really the most effective use of this is going to be email marketing. I've talked to a lot of you guys about building an email list. Some of you have done that. Some of you haven't. If you have, you're going to have some fun with this. You're going to be able to market to these people in a cool way that you just create this little 3-act play that leads up to the opening of the cart. And the 4th act is basically the cart's open, go get it. If you don't, you can still use social media for this stuff though, guys. I'm doing both. I mean, I really am. I'm filming videos. I'm on Facebook. I don't really use Instagram as effectively as I could, but Monica does. And, you know, basically, you accomplish a lot of these objectives through this 3-act play. If you've been doing kind of pre-launch stuff like this, like I have, I've got this little theme now. This is all ready to roll for me. This is going to be real easy for me to put together tomorrow because I've already got the container phobia thing set up. So they're already listening to the story and locked in. Okay, how do you solve container phobia? Well, you go and you learn how to do it. You know, and the fact that it's an extreme workout, I think plays into a lot of the different objections that I get from guys, which are that they just don't think it's going to be hard enough. Hopefully I can resolve some of those objections. I have a strong feeling, by the way, just for my own personal marketing, to tell you what's going to happen, that February 2nd is going to be a very good day for us because we do have a lot of people who've been listening to a lot of this stuff. A lot of them are already engaged in the 21-day fix, which is great. This is just such a natural upgrade. If you're a 21-day fix person, you should be super excited about this, and you should be doing this stuff. You really should. For me personally, I think it's probably going to take a little bit for my guys to warm up to the 21-day fix extreme. And it probably just takes me doing it. You know, if I go out and I do it, and I live my life out loud, and I get great results, other people are likely to follow me. If I don't, then they probably won't. And this will be, you know, kind of a waste of time, I guess. I don't think it's a waste of time for me or you because the truth is we can use these for any product launch we want. And the idea of me doing these calls now is really to teach you this system so that the next product launch that comes along after the 21-day fix, we can do the same thing and we can start to talk about, okay, what's the marketing we're gonna do? What's our pre-launch? What's our pre-launch? How do we actually go about doing all this stuff? This is the framework though. This is the framework. If you've watched these 2 calls and now this one, you can see our objectives don't change a whole lot. And if you can get these objectives checked off and establish yourself, like I said, in that position of authority and get some reciprocity going with people, which means basically trust that I talked about on some of the other earlier calls, when the cart opens, it's going to be easy, all right? This will just be a lot easier. People will just go and they'll buy because they already know in their mind, I'm locked into this thing. I want to be a part of this community. I can't miss out on this, so I've got to go do it. All right, so that's our call for tonight. Again, I want to finish where I started. March 28th, Men's Leadership Event in Dallas, Texas. If you have questions about that, please message me. If you're just ready to sign up for the event, which will get you, again, an early bird ticket, discounted price, and a preferred seating arrangement, which basically means you're going to sit in the front because we have a movie theater. Actually, not a movie theater, it's a theater. So you'll get to sit down front, which I think is going to be pretty cool. Good environment. We also have an open bar there. So if that motivates you, go buy your ticket. www.trainingcampdallas.com. Thanks for your time, guys. Hope you're enjoying marketing stuff, and I hope your pre-launch for 21 Day Fix is successful and you have a great time with it. All right, guys. Take care.